Welcome to Catching Up with Claudia. Now, ojalá que se puedan quedar hasta el final para que puedan escuchar lo que va a compartir mi invitada o mi invitado. Así es que no se les olvide también de seguirnos por las redes sociales. Estamos en todas las plataformas. Hasta luego. Hola, hola, hello, and welcome back. Today, we are doing a live stream and a podcast recording of Catching Up with Claudia and my guest, Dr. Desi Rios. We have an important topic today. Super important because it's connected to when I relaunched about a year ago, my show, and I'm like, you know what? I'm turning 50. I am going to do some conversations and bring some guests that have to do with my hot flash era, with my cincuentañera era, and also being vulnerable and sharing this journey of what is called menopause. But before we get to our amazing guest, Dr. Desi Rios, I wanted to touch base with you. How are you doing? ¿Cómo están todos? There's a lot of stuff happening out there around us. And I've been doing a little bit of research because we are going to be having a celebration because we just got to make sure that we hold on to those good times, create good times, build community because, when I started this show, La Super Comadre Claudia, it started during a time when the person that's in the current seat again at the White House won the first time. And I needed something that was going to help me get through it, that was going to build community, that was going to uplift stories and people, positive things around me that needed attention. And also, I was signing people up to vote because we need to make sure that people were voting, right? For the next time we had a chance to, vote. But here we are again. But here we still are. And that's what matters, that we continue to connect with each other. And I know sometimes it's hard because we're being bombarded and we're being hit left and right with so many things that are happening with this administration. But one thing that I heard from candidate Vice President Kamala Harris was to continue building and rebuilding your community, have community, connect with people, connect with those that are going to uplift you and you can uplift them because community is that's what's going to help us get through this. And so here we are still building community here on RadioCristalUSA.com, on RadioCrystalUSA.com. And I'm it's just a blessing because here we are again. And this ability to be here and to share and to uplift, it's helping me because now I'm contending with something new in my life. And it's been taking, some time to accept this new phase called menopause. But here we are with the current administration, and menopause and the current administration are just not going well, And then another thing too is I have some amazing girls. I've shared my daughters and who they are and what they're becoming and what they're achieving. And, sometimes I go off the edge, or jump off the edge. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. When I see like a dirty dish or I've seen like stuff that hasn't been cleaned up and I kind of go like, oh my God, I kind of lose it a little bit. And then I'm like, wait a minute. My girls are, okay, so they're a little messy sometimes. So am I. But so I realized that I was getting quick to anger over things that shouldn't really cause a lot of anger, right? And then I realized, oh my gosh, this has to do with what I'm going through with menopause. And, and keeping myself grounded because I got some girls that are, they're doing so well in school. They're being challenged. And even when, they're challenged and they don't get the grade they want or they don't get something they want, it's okay. They're like, they get a little upset and whatever, or they study or whatever, and they get back to it. So I have some really amazing kids. So there's nothing they can do that should be sending over the edge. But then I realized it has to do with menopause. And that's what today is about. That's what today's conversation is going to be around. So if you are going through it, listen, share. And if you are not going through it yet, it's okay. Listen and see that you're going to be okay. And if you have a woman in your life, a loved one who is potentially going to it or might be going through it later, this is a great place to listen to our stories, to normalize menopause, and realize, hey, we're the same people. We're just going to go through a change, and we might not be the same person afterwards, and that is okay. As long as we, communicate and we share. And this is what La Super Comadre Claudia show is about in podcast and live stream. And one thing that kept coming to my mind was Comadre community. Now more than ever, we need to continue to build our Comadre communities. Build your own, have yours, so that you can have folks that you can rely on, that people you can turn to, and be that for someone else. Now, speaking of someone that I can always turn to, the amazing Liliana Elizondo, I want to bring you up and just catch up with you. Where are you? Where is she? She's always making sure that she's taking care of everything and everyone with the radio. See, Liliana Elizondo, come on down. Make yourself known so we can chat a little bit. Wait, I think she's coming. She's on her way. There she is. How are you? We did a little bit of magic.
Can you hear me, comadre?
Yes.
Okay. My microphone disconnected because I pulled it with my foot.
Oh, no. Well, I'm glad that you made it and you're here, because you are always making sure that we're connected, that we're uplifting stories, and you have your shows that you do as well. And I just want to bring you on and touch base. How are you doing today?
Going through my menopause too.
I love it. We got to come up with a song.
You know what?
We need a song.
Everyone is different. Everyone is in a different way. Yeah. And I have not had the symptoms everyone talks about.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I listened carefully to one of my friends, one of my best friends since high school. She was the counselor at school. She was our counselor at school. Imagine, she was like 30, almost 30 years older than me.
Yeah.
And she would tell us about that. And I was like 18, 19. And I was like, I don't know how. I mean, I have no idea how it's going to be. Like when I turn 50 or 40 or whatever. So I remember listening to her talking about flaxseed, talking about having, she changed her way of eating, and also she talked about drinking cranberry juice every day, but juice, no added sugar.
Yeah. Not the sweet stuff, but the good stuff.
But it does so many things. It helps your eye muscles, and see, I used to wear glasses, and I don't wear them anymore.
Oh, wow!
So I listened to her. To all her all the list of things she used to do, and she's still here. She's still alive. And she's, she doesn't look her age.
Wow.
Because her best friend is flaxseed. And
her BFF.
that became my best friend.
Yeah.
Flaxseed is so beautiful. It does wonders in your body.
Yeah.
And I recommend it to everyone.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you buy it. Make sure it's fresh. I mean, it's whole, and I mean, it does wonders to me. And I have not. And did she
say is that what was the flaxseed for?
Well, it has a lot of nutrients, and it helps you with your body heat.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of things. I wish I had the list here. But if anybody is going through that, I really recommend it because it helps you with your how do you call it, your system, your entire gastro.
Oh yeah, everything that pushes all the poop out.
Everything.
I've been on
So,
flaxseed probably since 2015.
I
I
mean, it's
sprinkle it
an
in.
everyday thing.
No,
Every
I
day.
sprinkle it in my mira, in my
Ah,
smoothies. So every
really?
day I have my little smoothies, and I put the flax seeds, the chia seeds, the this seeds,
I
because
make my own
yeah.
bread.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's flaxseed bread.
Yeah.
And my body craves that one
Yeah.
because it's got a lot of things my body needs.
Yeah. No, that's
It,
good. I
it's
think.
helped me with my skin. It's helped me
What
with
do you
my
do with the
hair.
flaxseed on your skin? ¿Te lo pones en la
No,
cara? Oh,
just by
just
eating it.
ingesting it.
Mhm.
Okay. No,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I don't know. And then
Yeah.
my doctor recommended me to keep eating, to keep taking my prenatals.
Yes. Oh,
Even
okay.
though I'm not
Okay.
planning on having babies
Yeah.
anymore, she said continue taking them because you really need all those vitamins
Yeah.
and all those minerals and all that. So for life.
And that's helped
She said for
you.
life.
Yeah.
So that's what I've
No.
been doing, and it's been a blessing. And
Uh-huh.
I have not had any of those symptoms everyone talks about. And like, nope,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Well, that's good,
Mhm.
because it hits everybody different,
Exactly.
And that's one of the things is to pay attention to when you do have those changes, and try things that could potentially help alleviate, because, people talk about like, oh, it's just hot flashes, but there's a lot more that comes
Exactly.
to that. And it depends on the person, like my mom, well, we'll later talk about that as to why I didn't know about hot flashes, because apparently, there's a different age difference of when I had my kids and when my mom had her kids. And that,
Yeah.
I wasn't there to experience what my mom went through, because I was already out of the house and gone. And, and I'm here with my kids because I had them later. And now all they hear is like, my mom, they kind of roll their eyes. Oh, my mom's talking about menopause again. And I want to let them know too. I'm like, well, it's because I wasn't home experiencing my mom's menopause, and because I was already grown and gone, but y'all are here because I had y'all later in life. So you're while they're getting their periods and going through that, I'm like no hormones, and they got lots of hormones, and it's like the clash of the no hormones and the hormones.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so it's been a roller coaster ride, which is why I hadn't been doing a lot of things like the show, because it did affect me. Now my story is a little bit different, and I'll share that when Dr. Rios comes on. But I wanted to touch base with you because this show helped me build community, helped us to
Oh,
lift
yeah.
stories. The first time that the person was that's in White House again, I never said his name. Remember, I never said his
You'll
name.
never say it.
I never will say it. He who shall remain nameless. The first time he won,
El innombrable.
lo que dijiste tú, porque hay muchas sílabas y no lo puedo decir. This show really helped me get through those 4 years. The show, uplifting others, helped me get through it. And you know what? Now I'm like, now more than ever, we're going to do this, and I'm going to do this.
It's
I'm
kind
going
of
to
a
push myself.
venting.
Yes,
It's
a
kind of
little bit of venting.
but in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Yes, with good topics.
Exactly.
That are going to help and support.
Very well needed.
And we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate this, because I've only been doing this with you for like almost 9 years, going on 9 years.
Almost 9 years.
Almost
Yeah,
9
it'll
years.
be 9 years in April.
But 15 years ago was when the station was born. So the station, I'm a cincuentañera, and now the station is a quinceañera. And we're going to be celebrating. So, so everyone, I want you to mark your calendars. May 31st at Oistioneria, Michoacan, off of Federal Road. We're going to have a little invite, and we're going to make it look like a quinceañera and all that. But it's going to be a disco quince. Yes. And we're going to be celebrating 15 years of Radio Cristal USA .com. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing. I said, do a flashback show last week.
Oh, yeah. I loved it.
You shared the one when we went to NASA. Remember what
was a
happened?
crazy thing we lived.
Yes.
And I mean, when it happened, we were like, what?
What?
In a shock. But now we can laugh about it.
Yes, and for the listening audience and the viewing audience, we we had a friend who worked at NASA as an engineer who had all kinds of security clearance. Like he was in there deep, and we wanted to interview him, and we wanted to interview him on site, and we did. And he's like the first Latino to do stuff there, and NASA
Yeah.
at his level. And when you and I showed up at the NASA park, and we were
Yeah, you
waiting for
went
him.
through a different entrance. I mean,
I
I
didn't
went
know.
through a different entrance. There's the thing. He sent you
Uh-huh.
the address to his office in
Uh-huh.
NASA, and you went through the main entrance of NASA.
Yeah. That
So
I did. I just
I
went through.
went through the one he uses to enter his office. I had no idea. You just sent me that, so I went through that one.
Uh-huh.
But it was a terrible thing. I mean, it was a
It,
good
it was
thing that
it was it
we
was
told them, you
scary.
know what? There, you need to put more security guards everywhere because I could get in, no
Yeah, you
problem.
got in, and then I got in, and we're sitting there parked in each other's, and you're in your car, I'm in my car, and we're talking, and all of a sudden we see the lights and like security police cars pass us, and we're like,
Like
ooh,
sirens
like it
and
went around, like they were going around a boulevard or something. But we
yeah,
watched them, and we're like, oh look, oh we're gonna see
wow,
some
something
action.
must have
Oh
happened.
my god, what's going on? And then all of a sudden they surrounded
They
us,
surrounded us, all around
and
us.
we're like, what do we do?
What did we
What do
do?
we do? Oh my god! And then they surrounded us, and they were and then they called, and we told them, well, we're here to talk to so and so. And
And they
then we
made
called the
sure it was,
police, and he's like,
yeah, they
oh
called
my
in, and
god,
then he started laughing.
yeah, because he
But
showed
it
up.
wasn't funny because you told him in a good way because you
Yeah,
were like, hey, well, that shows you that you need to put more security guards.
yeah, because yeah, we got pulled, we got almost taken in. Did they put us in the back of the car? No, they didn't.
No.
No, they just, but they did question us separately
Oh
too. They
yeah.
wanted to see, what are you doing here? I'm like, we're here
Mhm.
to talk to him. What was his name? Juan.
Oh gosh, we were
We
so
were so
nervous.
nervous we couldn't remember his name and everything, but it went amazing. And
I loved it. And
yeah,
if people have not seen it, go and watch it. Go to La Super Comadre Claudia's Facebook page and you'll find it right
yes,
there.
yes, that was hilarious, and I loved it, and it was funny. And then I just want to bring something else up to celebrate, and I maybe we should bring it back. But
Oh yeah.
during the time that this person that's currently at the White House was in the White House the first time, I had a segment called
El
La
chanclazo.
Chulada y el Chanclazo. I'm like, I want to bring it back.
Hey, comadre, you were starting with your perimenopause, so you were kind of giving chanclazos to everyone.
I was. Everybody got a fair chanclazo. I think we should bring the chanclazo back, but
Yes,
I
you
don't
should.
think I have enough chanclas for what's going on right now with the administration. I think I need a chancla launcher or something, or a chancla bigger than me, because but at the same time, I like the chulada because it
Oh yeah.
reminds me that I need to focus on what was a good thing that happened today. You know, like, and that's what I want to ask you before I bring in Dr. Desi Rios, our guest, to give menopause. You know what? I'm not even going to give menopause a chanclazo because I want to welcome it. Because I think for so long too that I've been going through this, I've been wanting to fight it, and I want to be the same person. I'm tired of feeling this way
I think that's
now.
the problem. We should not fight it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's me. Well, you know me.
You need
I
to
want.
learn how to go with the flow.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm working on. So I'm not gonna give menopause a chanclazo. I'm going to
Okay, comadre, I'm
welcome it.
gonna stay behind the scenes
So
because I know you have a
find some
great
chanclas.
guest.
Go find some
Please
chanclas
don't
for
give
me.
her a chanclazo.
Not her. All right. So I'd love to bring on my guest. She is the amazing Dr. Desi Rios. She holds a doctorate in psychology and women's studies from the University of Michigan. She is a former associate professor of sociology and director of Latinx and Latin American studies at the University of Houston, Clear Lake. And prior to working, and this is prior to working as a community-based educator and advocate, she has co-led university-wide justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives focusing on racial, ethnic, and gender disparities at the faculty and administrative levels. This woman has done so much. And I love how this initiative was called Jedi, because sometimes you have to play some Jedi mind tricks in a way. But this is a woman that comes with so much, experience in the work that she does, advocacy as well. She's gone on to also be part of several nonprofits like the Magnolia Park Arts and Community Impact and the Wellness on Wheels HTX WOW, which is a nature therapy program focusing on mental health and well-being for students and families in underserved communities. And also, she is also co-writing the first Psychology of Latinx People textbook in the field of psychology, the first of its kind. So without further ado, I like to bring on Dr. Desi Rios. Come on down, Doctor. Hello, welcome.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here because you are so fantastic. And I've been able to sit in and watch some other recordings. So I'm just really honored to be here with you.
Oh, no, and the honor is mine. We have to, you heard a little bit about the genesis of La Super Comadre, building community, uplifting stories, because this was born out of a time when I needed to uplift, but be uplifted. And I get uplifted by others. Yeah. So this is why you're here. Thank you for coming on board and becoming part of the Comadre community.
Thank you.
So a little bit about you. I shared, with the audience, your in paper, but now you're here in person. So share a little bit about you, Desi. Who are you? A little bit of background.
So I'm originally from Los Angeles. I'm not a Texan. And I've lived all over the nation. So I've been really lucky to meet all kinds of people and work with different groups. I landed here in Houston about 13 years ago. And the reason I came here was because I was looking for a university that served first generation and a diverse student body. And that's how I ended up at University of Houston Clear Lake. And since I've been here, the city of Houston's been so generous with me in terms of not just professionally, but all the fantastic people that I've met along the way and opportunities to work in the community. I got tenure about 7 years ago. And once I got tenure, I thought, okay, I'm gonna be staying in Houston. It looks like I'm gonna be staying here. And so I originally moved to Clear Lake because I didn't know anyone in Houston. And so I first moved, to be close to work, at least I would know coworkers. And I bought a house in the East End because I wanted to find my gente again. Mm-hmm. I'd been away for so long, Michigan and then Maine. And, so I'd been away for so long. So I bought a house in the East End. And so that's where my husband and I live now with 4 barrio dogs that we rescued up the street. Mm-hmm. And so here I am now.
All right. So and thank you for sharing that story about yourself, because I want folks to get to know, you are a doctor. We don't always see a lot of Latina doctors, first of all, and that's super important, especially for, our younger, like my daughters. I want my 15 and 16-year-old to be exposed to this, and also your connections that you made. Like, you came all the way from LA and you got here to Texas, right? And just coming over here and finding your gente. I mean, that's something that we want to make. I want my kids to hear too, is like, wherever you go, make your mark, find your people, build community. It's super important, to do that.
Don't forget where you came from and make sure that you give back.
Yes. That is super important because, I don't want to throw any stones, but, sometimes folks forget where they came from. They forget about those programs or initiatives that got them where they're at, or people that had to go out there and maybe do some protesting, do some, make sure that bills are written and lobbying happening so we can do the things that we want to do and reach in our lives. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for stepping into the arena of becoming a doctor, of moving these initiatives, of making sure that people are seen and heard and respected, and people feel comfortable enough to talk, to share, and to put themselves out there. Because that's what, that's what Jedi was doing. That's what Jedi did. And hopefully that continues to happen, despite the things that are going on around us. It's for that our younger generations that are coming up to continue seeing us, seeing you, seeing that work, and not forgetting, like you said, where they come from. Because it's super important.
And it's so good. It's so good. I grew up in a neighborhood like Magnolia Park, and there's so much goodness there.
Absolutely.
Go back, make it better.
Yes. And when I started doing my work with the Hackett Center for Mental Health and Brain Builders, that was my first remote position. I've always been in a building with students, teachers. This was new for me. And I ended up working out of many locations in the East End where people thought I lived there. And I'm like, no, it's just central to all the organizations that I'm partnering with. And, it's like, that's the place to be. And I felt like home. Yeah. Even though I was born and raised here in Houston and the east side, like Jacinto City, I-10 East and 610. But, I grew up going to areas like Denver Harbor, Port Houston, Galena Park. Those have when I go to the East End to do my work out of different coffee shops or restaurants, it feels like I'm back home. And I really, really like that connection. So thank you. Thank you for bringing you and adding you and making Houston an even better place. Thanks.
Thank you.
We're going to do a little bit of vulnerable now. Be vulnerable. You and I had a chance to chat. I put out almost like an SOS in a way on Facebook once about what I was going through. With menopause. And I had an incredible amount of support in their own way, right? Words, try this, listen to this. And I was very touched. And then folks sending me private messages as well, like, here's this doctor, try this. I have this book, I have this podcast. And I didn't feel alone anymore. Yeah. And you were one person that we had a chance to connect like deeply on this. And I wanted to bring you on because this is something that needs to be shared. And I want to just open up my Super Comadre community, this platform to have these conversations as if it's like, hey, you know what, we're going to exchange a recipe for this, or here's a book I want you to read. Oh, by the way, let's talk about this, menopause. So I want you to share your journey, where you're at in your journey with menopause, and what are some things that a listener could take away and empower themselves with, whether they're a woman, maybe they're in it, maybe they have a loved one that might be in it and they're not sure. So please share your story. Take us on that journey.
Ooh, there's so much to share. So thank you for starting us off with that Facebook post, because I remember seeing it and everyone was so generous and supportive. But I noticed the last time I looked that a lot of the comments had to do with parenting and to not be hard on yourself. We all do the best we can. You're a great mom. And everybody was like super supportive and lovely and encouraging of you. But as I was reading the comments, I noticed that no one said anything about what you were talking about, which wasn't, that was like an outcome of your perimenopause symptoms, right? Yeah. And no one in those comments had said anything. And so I did reach out to you because I had been experiencing this for years. And it wasn't until I started sharing with some of my friends, or my friends started sharing because they were experiencing some of these symptoms. And so I reached out to you so we could have, a talk and sort of connect on that. So that's what started.
I cried. I felt seen. I felt heard. Yeah. I felt, okay, I was able to empower myself with words that, with folks that are close to me, who they're generous and they're being helpful, right? And I'm like, look, this is not something that I can go and just get on a treadmill and work it out. This is not something that I can just drink a Jamba Juice or a smoothie and it's going to help me. And no, I've been working on this, and I'm not sure what's going on, or, oh, it's just because you're getting older and you're going to be forgetful. No, there's something more than,
there's something
and there was a lot of little things, but, and I finally was able to feel like, okay, I can say that to my doctor or my partner, or I finally was one. I would even find, you even sent me some reels too to share, like some funny reels, but that were like videos, but that were touching on the subject. And finally I remember telling my partner, I go, look, stop telling me that I just got to work out. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like moving. I don't even feel like, doing the things that bring me joy, like my podcast, like my live stream, like the networking. I don't want even nothing. And the bras, I hate wearing bras. I gotta wear underwear, but the clothing, everything is bothersome, and because it's always, people will always just go focus on the hot flash. Well, and it's more than the hot flash.
It is absolutely. And so I think one of the reasons that the comments to your post were about like parenthood is because we know so much. A lot of people have experience with that, and we know less about women at this time in our lives.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like you're beyond your reproductive years. You're not young and desirable anymore. Right. So like, what is your purpose? And so we don't need to pay attention. The training even OBGYNs get, they don't get any.
It's very minimal. I was listening to a podcast that Halle Berry, she's been going out working on bills and trying to get people on both sides of the aisle to fund. And that's one thing she was talking about that she mentioned is the very minimal amount of curriculum or exposure they get in medical school. Right. And as I brought it up, Desi, I actually ended up after you and I spoke, I had a friend who was visiting from out of town, and she called me up because she saw it. She goes, hey, we're going to get together before I go back. And then I thought it was just her and I. Then the two other moms showed up, and we all have kids that are teenagers, and we're all going through the same thing. We're like, whoa, wait a minute. So you too? Yeah, you too. And we're all going through menopause while we are parenting teens. I'm like, is there any research on this? And then we finally started looking, okay, because this is new. My aunts, my mom, they had kids younger. So by the time they went through menopause, kids were gone. So we never saw that. Now we're like, what's going on? No one ever told us. And here we are trying to parent and be sane. Yeah. And I even came, and I was going to show you this. There's even a TikToker mom who has dedicated what it's like to talk and not be able to get your words out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's wild is that half the human population goes through this stage of their life. And we know so little, so much research and funding has been devoted to this time in women's lives.
So tell us about when you started your journey. What are some of the things that helped you? And what is something information that I can continue empowering myself with and empowering others?
So I've been in perimenopause for about 6 years now, 6 or 7 years. It can last, it can be more than 10 years even, but the average is like 4 to 8 years. And I started to notice that like my cognitive functioning, it was slower, putting ideas together, my writing, it was harder for me to just like organize thoughts. And a couple of my brilliant friends, we were working on a big project together. And she brought it up because she said that she was experiencing this. And so she said, yeah, perimenopause. So estrogen is responsible for brain functioning and a bunch of other stuff that I'll talk about in a second. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was helpful, right? So it kind of made me feel like, okay, maybe I don't have early onset Alzheimer's or dementia or something.
Same here.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, so that's helpful. It gives me a little bit of information, but we don't talk about this a lot, right? So I thought, okay, it'll go away. And also I had been asking OBGYNs about this stage in life, and they'd say, well, you'll get over it. It'll pass. The average number of OBGYNs that women see before they finally find one who specializes in this is 5.
Wow.
5. So women are hopping, from doctor to doctor trying to find answers. And the common response is, well, you'll get over it. It'll pass. This happens to women your age.
Oh my gosh.
So in the last year, I noticed that my symptoms really started to get severe. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate Liliana's experience that she shared, because there's such a range of experiences for women. And for some women like her, no symptoms or really mild symptoms, and an over-the-counter remedy can alleviate your symptoms. Flaxseed, there's research on it that shows that it does alleviate like hot flashes and some like mood shifts and stuff. So I think for women who have more mild symptoms, things like that can work. But I also want to destigmatize for women who are experiencing much more severe symptoms, that these symptoms are real. You're not crazy. They are real, and your body's doing some gymnastics. Yeah. And there are medical professionals who are trained specifically to help you with this time of life. So some of my symptoms included the brain fog was getting real bad.
Yeah.
And I was getting really worried, because that's what I make my living on, is my brain. And so I started to get really scared. So the brain fog, memory, lack of motivation, just like the things that I love doing, like you said, it just was like, what for? Anxiety, waking up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. And that's a big one that a lot of women report, is the 3 a.m. wake up. But the one that scared me when I finally was like, I have to find a doctor for help, was I started to have suicidal ideation. Yeah. And I thought, okay, and I know all of this as a psychologist, like, what do most people do? They isolate. They already feel like I'm not lovable. No one cares about me. Not going to tell anyone. Right. But I because I know all of that research, I thought, no, I have to start sharing this with people that care about me, because I need to get help. And so I shared with a friend of mine here in Houston, and she said, call my doctor, because that practice, this is all they do, is this time in a woman's life. Call them and they're going to help you. And so I did, and I was able to get an appointment within like 2 months. Meanwhile, like white knuckling it till I got there.
Oh my gosh.
Feeling crazy, not remembering things. And I went to see her. And so we first measured hormone levels. And then once we got those, and I went in again for another. So, there's like a series of steps to see where you're at in the process. Are you in menopause? Are you still in perimenopause? And then they figure out what the correct dosages, right, for the hormones. And so I've been on that for about 2.5 months now. And oh my gosh.
What was it like?
What a difference. A better mood, for sure.
Yeah.
So hopeful about the future, looking forward to things. My mind is clearing up. So I'm able to, think about more complex things again, put ideas together. And it's just really like night and day. It's wild. It is wild. So this is actually really common. And I want to read, I I read this book, which really, really helped me.
Highlight it. The New Menopause by.
And it is all about the past science that made people afraid of hormone replacement therapy. There was a study published in 2001. And the media kind of ran with a really small finding, which was a very small minority of women over the age of 63 who started taking this hormone replacement that had a particular like health genetic history, except the media didn't cover all the nuances. They just said, oh, you know, HRT is tied to breast cancer.
Yeah.
And so you have generations of women who stopped taking it. They were afraid. And then this kind of, you know, panic around it.
And let's define HRT real quick for the listening audience.
Replacement therapy.
While I get my sample.
Okay. Hormone replacement therapy.
I tell you, I carry. I stopped, and I'll get through. I'll share a little bit to the audience about my story, but here's I still carry mine. This is a patch that I used to wear, and I'll get to that I used to wear it part and where I'm heading, thanks to you sharing, and especially what you shared right now, is that fear, or not fear, but what was being shared. And that's where I'm at. They took me off of mine because of that. And now I'm all like, this is not been good.
I recommend, you know, if you want to start like with the over the counter, that might work for some women. But if you're experiencing, you know, not getting enough sleep starts to mess with your brain too.
Yeah.
Right. So the sleep, let me give you some symptoms. I had to print them out because there are a lot.
Yeah.
Hot flashes and night sweats, sleep disturbances, mood swings, decreased libido, vaginal dryness, breast tenderness, weight gain, difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, fatigue and low energy, joint and muscle aches, headaches or migraines, thinning hair, dry skin, etc., etc. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
And if it's getting in the way of your daily functioning, there's no shame in consulting a medical professional who is trained in this. But let me read this thing from the book. I read this and I thought, I cried when I read this because this described me and I felt like I was losing my mind. But this really helped just because it sort of normalized it to know that other women experience this too.
Yeah.
Okay. Lack of sleep due to night sweats, which caused me to be irritable and have anxiety and paranoid thoughts. Oh wait, this is not the right. That's another quote. Okay, here we go. I know people who all but breeze through it. I'm not one of those people. I'm 51 and still having periods. Over the last 5 years, I've become a shell of who I once was. I've gained 45 pounds. I cannot lose it no matter what I do. I've taken a variety of natural supplements to help the ever increasing and worsening symptoms, such as fatigue, not even the right word for how exhausted I am, lack of desire for anything, low mood and mood changes, inability to concentrate and brain fog, joint and body pain, hot flashes and night sweats, intermittent insomnia, and let's not forget the identity crisis. And that's how I felt in this last year. I was really going through it, and I thought, this is not just it'll pass.
No,
women shouldn't have to suffer hormone therapy. So with more women entering into these fields and doing the research, they've gone back to that original study to sort of replicate the findings to see if this still holds up. And hormone replacement therapy is safe. You have to work with someone who's been trained, though, to make sure you're getting the right dosages for your body. But it's safe, and it can be literally a saver, especially for women who are having like suicidal ideation.
Absolutely. And when you shared yours, it touched me because I had some similar thoughts, and that's when I'm like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
Because and I remember when I'd be driving, that's usually the time when something would flash. And I'm like, why did I think that? Why did I see that? And that was scary. And when I was taken, here's my story is that I went into immediate menopause at 42 when I had a hysterectomy and the removal of ovaries to be a pre-vivor of breast cancer because I have the breast cancer gene, the BRCA1. And so when that was discovered, my mom had breast cancer, my grandmother had breast cancer and cervical cancer and colon cancer. So for me, they're like, once you're done with your kids, we're going to take out the ovaries so we can decrease. It's not going to be 100%, but we're going to decrease significantly your chances because it's not the way that my OB-GYN said, it's not a matter of, are you going to get it? It's a matter of when you're going to get it based on my family's track. Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, let's do what you got to do because I got to be here. I got 2 kids. I got to do what I got to do to be here for them.
Right.
So we went, I asked questions. Is this really necessary? Do I really need to do all this? And it came back to let's just do it. So I prepared for going into immediate menopause. I already had a little bit of high blood pressure. I had a little bit of cholesterol. I was, there's diabetes in my family. So that was like pre-diabetic or something. You're like, you're not there, but if you just change I needed to lose weight because the doctors kept saying, lose some weight. That will help you. We don't have to put you on medication. I had 2 toddlers at the same, it was hard. I tried my best, but weight wasn't going anywhere. But then I started changing my diet, looking at what could be a diet that, or eating habits that were going to create an environment within my body that was not going to be welcoming for cancer to happen. So that's what I started researching, changing my food intake. And like I shared earlier, the flaxseed, the chia seeds, the smoothies, the hot water with lemon and honey and vinegar, all that. So I've been doing that for years. And then I got into yoga and running. So I was ready for the hysterectomy. And then once it happened, when I came out of the anesthesia, like within 24 hours, I was in pools of like literally wetness from this sweating. Yeah. And headaches. And then once I recovered, I had lost a lot of more weight than I should have, but I was eating my mom's home cooked meal. She came to take care of me. So I was eating at home. So that really got me even on a stronger path to stay, to keep my weight appropriate to my height. So I wouldn't, my numbers were good. And they told me, well, and then they gave me this little patch. And for those that are listening and watching, and I'll go ahead and open this one because this is kind of old, but I'm holding on to it because I'm taking it to my doctor's appointment. But it's just a sticker that I would put on my hip. And it's just like a round sticker about maybe the size of your palm. And I would put this on my hip and I would switch it out once a week. So every week I had a new patch on my hip. And this is the lowest dosage they could give me because I do have the breast cancer gene. So they gave me the lowest dose. But the important part, the part that they told me was, even though we probably shouldn't put you on this, but you need it because we took out your ovaries and your estrogen is needed. Like we talked about earlier, estrogen is needed for everything. Like you said, all those symptoms you listed, memory, cognitive function, joint pain, your estrogen is what keeps all of that functioning.
People don't realize that estrogen, so I have another list here, brain and mood, it regulates your mood, it supports your memory, focus, cognitive functioning, your heart and your blood vessels, your bone density,
muscles,
blood vessels, skin and your hair, your metabolism. And so working with a trained professional to make sure that they are, like yours recommended the lowest dosage because of your history, right? So you need to work with someone who knows what they're doing, not just maybe a general practitioner went and got some training, but make sure they have specific training. Because there are benefits to hormone replacement therapy. It is preventative also in terms of bone density. It can buffer against Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of good preventative measures, right? The benefits of taking hormone replacement therapy.
So here's a crossroads, doctor. And this is where I made appointments with everybody. I finally got my mind where it could be like, focus on you. Just sit your butt down, call up all these referrals that have been given to me since November.
Yeah.
And get to it. So I want to get back on this, but I don't want to put it on until I go and talk to my doctors again. So I have an appointment. I was given the name to functional medicine doctor that focuses on menopause. Going that route. I'm going back to my OBGYN and say, okay, let's talk about this. There's new studies. I'm going to go armed with what you shared in the book. And I'm even open to also cleansing and detoxing. Like my partner's like, hey, I got this herbalist in Chinatown. I went through this, and I'm like, I'm open. I'm taking some things, some supplements. Going back to my smoothies. I am just doing what I need to do, and I am kind of pushing myself to do it, because if not, I don't want to stay there, and I don't want to go back to feeling what I was feeling. Because for a long time, people are like, where are you? I don't do your show anymore. I haven't seen you networking. I'm like, I'm just breathing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So you said you felt a big difference when you started your hormone replacement therapy, your HRT. Now what's next? How long will you be on it? Will they take you off of it at some point? What's next?
So HRT typically you take for the rest of your life, and that's to make sure that your estrogen levels are at a healthy level to prevent like the bone density loss, to protect your brain, your cardiovascular, all that kind of stuff. So most women stay on it. Okay. I don't know if it's for the rest of your life, but yeah.
Okay. Because for me, they said, well, we're going to start weaning you off when you get close to what would be typically when you would start hitting menopause. And I'm like, okay, well, when at 8 years ago, I'm like, oh, that's such a long time from now. Well, here we are. And doctor, it hasn't been fun. And now that I've been going back to my doctors and retracing this year and a half now being off of it, now it's like, oh, potentially your vertigo, the sciatica, the anxieties, the extreme anxiety panics that I have now, that I had to call 911 a number of times because I thought it was something else. I even described to you what it felt like. My brain was being mushed with, like someone's hands were in my brain and playing with my brain like silly putty. Not remembering people's names, not remembering like
words.
I thought I said that. I thought I sent that email.
Yeah.
Did I
or
not?
Even words in the middle of a sentence. Like, what's that thing? Yeah.
Yes. The thing. That's what I use a lot. Or I say googly gawk to my girls when I'm trying to ask them something, and they look at me like, what are you saying? I'm like, that just do that. Get it done.
So the most recent research is saying that if you can start HRT in perimenopause, that predicts the most benefits in the long term. When you are in menopause, so this is why it's important to work with someone who knows what they're doing, because then you want your hormones retested when you're in menopause, because then your hormone levels, your HRT needs to be readjusted. Post-menopause, so menopause is when you don't have a period for one complete year. So sometimes I'll go 2 months and I'm like, yes. Here we go, no more. I'll get one. So still perimenopause. It's one complete year, no periods, and then you're post-menopause. Then they need to check your hormones again to see where you're at and then readjust. Okay. And so it's an ongoing process to make sure that your hormone levels are at a healthy, where they should be.
Okay. So this sounds like an ongoing communication. Ongoing communication and connection with, like you said, working with a professional who is studied, who knows what they're doing and trained.
So here's what's great is the woman who wrote this book.
Yes. Dr. Claire. Yes. Harvard.
She's in Galveston. So she has an entire like clinic institute. And then the doctor that I see is Herman Memorial. Is that it?
At her memorial? Down medical center here?
Yeah, the medical center. Yeah. And it is the Center for Women. And so there are a lot, not a lot, but there's several specialists here in Houston. So Houston is really lucky that there are several specialists who can help alleviate. And again, you might be lucky like Liliana and have mild to no symptoms. Over the counter is going to work for you.
Yeah.
But there's no shame
in
going to see someone who's trained and can help you. You don't need to suffer.
You don't need to suffer, especially when you said I need my brain. This is what I make my living off. That really touched me because that is what I do. I need my brain to do the work that I'm doing. I need to remember people because I'm building relationships and partnerships within my organization and other organizations. Yeah. And there have been many times where I have now learned how to continue that conversation with the person that I know I've met them before. And I'm like, what is their name? Okay, where did I meet them? What I know them. And I ask questions, like I continue the conversation so I could get bits and pieces to put a story together again. Yeah. And that is exhausting. And that sometimes in the back of my neck, I could feel like a little bit of a panic, an anxiety attack that I have to de-escalate.
Yeah.
And I have to remember, and then I have to think, I don't have to go through this. And that's no one should.
There's help. Help is available.
Yes. Yes. So it's 8:02 and this is only the beginning. I want to come back and I would like to, I guess, report out to you and you continue sharing how you're doing. And also I want, as I start my journey on figuring out what's going to, how can I get back to me after this, after going with the doctors, getting stuff, normalized and to continue this conversation because this is needed.
Absolutely. We don't talk enough about it.
No. And I'm going to ask you this, why is it, do you think that, or from what you've read, why is not, we talk about other things, right? In menopause, why is it that menopause is not something that always is shared? What are you thinking?
Why is it not shared?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the history of medical science, most of it has been conducted on men.
On men. Oh, okay.
So what we know until the last few decades, most of what we know was conducted on men. And so as more women are entering into the fields, they're starting to ask questions that are relevant to women's lives, their bodies. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Here's a concern. Seeing that we're in the administration that we're in, seeing that it's been said that certain words are being removed from, that they're running a query to look for words in research as being, that they're asking for money for, one of the words being female.
Yeah.
How do we continue to fight, talk, ask, say, show up? So that what can we do as a collective group to make sure that despite what's happening, that there's still something happening?
What you're doing here. Thank you. Thank you for hosting this topic and for us to just talk really honestly about what has been going on with our bodies and our minds. I think doing this kind of awareness campaign, I think this is important. This is a start. Share this podcast with others. Okay. Share this book with others. Read it yourself. My husband researches menopause.
Yes.
So that he knows, if I'm sort of off one day or I seem foggy or whatever, he knows and he can be sensitive and supportive. So even if you're not a woman, you can still learn to support.
I love what you just said.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a woman, learn, know, and be supportive. I think that is, and you shared I love the story you shared about the time when your husband shared at his place of work.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think that's so needed. Like even for guys, for men, the the partners that are there in the women's in the life, like to be aware. If you want, I thought that was a really cute little
No,
story.
it is a great
Yeah.
story. So, he's an electrician and he works on these huge commercial properties with a lot of really macho guys.
Yeah.
And so he'll bring up these topics. He says they all get very uncomfortable, but he tells them, it's important. You're married. If your wife isn't that age now, she's going to be one day.
Yeah.
And it's important for us to know so we can support them because they do so much for us. And, so we want to support each other.
Absolutely. And I was listening to a podcast once of a woman and then there was a researcher that talked about that women, there's a lot of divorces that happen due to the man like leaving and the woman's going through menopause, but there isn't that support, there isn't that communication, they don't really know what's going on, and then the guy's like, okay, well, I'm out, you're not the same person, I don't know what's going on, you're crazy, whatever. Versus
there's stories on the other side where women are like, I hate him, and that's how did I ever but the hormones are going crazy, and they're like, I'm done with him. And if you both know what's going on, it might not be pleasant, but you can work through it, and know this is gonna not be like this forever.
Yeah. And one of the stories in that podcast that one person did share how knowing the information saved the marriage.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. The more we know.
The more we know. And oh my God, this has been amazing. So let's continue. I would like to have you back on and continue this conversation and bring in some other guests that are either going through it or about to go through it, and just share that experience and continue bringing this awareness. Get the book, read the book. I listened to Dr. Claire Harvey. I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins had her as a guest.
Oh, great.
And I was listening and I'm like, that's what actually pushed me, like, okay, let me get on my referrals. Let me start talking to my doctors because they're saying that it's okay for me to be on this patch again. And if they're saying it's okay, but before I slap it on me, gotta go, like you said.
You need to have your hormones retested, to see where you're at.
Get retested. So if you are listening, if you are watching, just so you know, you need to talk to your medical personnel. Talk to a professional. If you don't feel good, if you don't like, you're not going with, well, you'll just get through this. And if you're suffering, like Dr. Desi said, if you can take something over the counter and that helps you, if the food intake, the flax seeds, if that helps you,
and I am so happy for those women.
I'm like, yes, do that, keep doing that. But if you are beyond that, it's okay to say, I don't want to live like this, and I need to make some changes, and I need to uplift my voice, and I need to get an answer.
Right.
And I can tell you, it's gonna be, do it. I'm in the middle of it right now. So thank you so much for reaching out and sharing your story. And I'm glad we had a chance to be here and raise this awareness around perimenopause and menopause. And that, yes, even though you feel like you're going crazy, it's part of it for some of us, but it doesn't have to be that all the time.
It doesn't have to be like that. No,
it doesn't. Mm-hmm. So
thank you so much for using the platform for this.
Yes. And thank you so much for being vulnerable, for sharing, and for being here, and for making this Houston a better place, the world a better place, with your knowledge, with your talent, with your experiences and your journey. And that's what this is about, building community and continuing to share. And that's what this is about. So
it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we got to get some coffee too.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Liliana. Thank you so much, Liliana. If you want to come on back, because we're going to take a little picture before we leave and say goodbye.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes. So, super comadre Liliana, super informative. What is one thing you took away from today?
My mic was off otra vez. Es que I didn't put it on my stand, and I don't have my stand in front of me. I took a lot that everyone is different. That's that's the main thing. And to get to know your body.
Yes.
Get to know your body and let people know about your changes so they learn with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So hopefully if you're listening, if you're re-listening to this podcast, this live stream will be on all of our platforms that we have available here to you. RadioCrystalUSA.com is found on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah. Just shorts.
Shorts on TikTok. So let's continue to support and uplift one another, especially when we're talking about menopause and perimenopause. If you're going through that, you don't have to go through it alone. It's nothing to be ashamed of. If you have some information to empower someone else, or you want to become empowered with something to take back to your doctors, please listen to this. Please read the book. Please buy the book. And then, we're here, and let's continue building community around this topic. And we're going to bring Dr. Rios again, because I'm just beginning my journey to getting myself back in order.
I look forward to hearing about, Yes.
All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you a la otra. And please stay tuned, because we do have Radio Cristal USA Quinceañera coming up in May. See, I forget things. May 31st. But we're going to... Yeah, we'll see you there. So it's going to be a great conversation around all the things that has to do with menopause, with life, with kids, with whatever it is that you do. All the guests that have been on are going to be invited to come out to just have a time to come together and share and continue building community. All right. Well, thank you, Doctor. It has been my pleasure as well.
Likewise.
Adiós y nos vemos a la próxima aquí en RadioCristalUSA.com. Adiós. Gracias por haber estado aquí en el show Catching Up with Claudia. ¿Tan tan? ¿Ya terminamos? Ok, bye.
Radio Cristal USA es patrocinado por Supernova Furniture, la mueblería de los paquetes de las ofertas más famosas. BAMSA Global, servicio de inmigración con más de 40 años de experiencia. Doneraki Fuego y Mar, con su auténtica comida mexicana que bien se come en Doneraki. Fred Haas Toyota World, es el concesionario número 1 de Texas y siempre tiene el auto que estás buscando. América Cinemas, te ofrece las mejores películas dobladas y subtituladas al español. Ostionería Michoacán, donde comes a gusto y delicioso, y siempre hay una cerca de ti. Gracias por patrocinarnos.
Música variada, interesantes shows en vivo, tu mejor opción en internet, Radio Cristal USA.